धरती सोना उगले उगले हीरे मोती मेरे देश की धरती.
This famous Bollywood song rightly points out that the soil of India harvests nothing less than gold, diamonds, and pearls. Welcome to India, where 65% of the population relies on agriculture for employment and livelihood. The sector contributes 16% of gross domestic product and 10% of nation's export earnings. The country grows a wide variety of crops. It is the second largest producer of rice and the largest exporter of rice in the world. The four states of Haryana, Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, and Bihar in northern India contribute more than one-third of the total paddy production for the entire country. Many parts of Haryana, the state in which the study is conducted, are dependent on groundwater for its irrigation needs. Use of groundwater for agricultural purposes is free, and electricity on farms is highly subsidized. Farmers usually pay a monthly flat rate for the use of groundwater based on the horsepower of their pumps. This provides little incentive to them to turn off these pumps. As a result, farmers are often overwatering their rice fields. Some studies have suggested that groundwater is depleting at rates as high as a foot per year in parts of northern India.
और क्योंकि राइस बेल्ट होने के कारण यहाँ पर जो है कंजम्पशन ऑफ वाटर ज़्यादा है और फार्मर्स को हर साल कम से कम भी जो 2-3 साल बाद में अपने उसको ट्यूबवेल्स को लोअर करना पड़ता है उसके करीब
90. और ये पंप लगा कब था, कौन से वर्ष में?
2000 में लग गया था.
तब कितना लेवल था?
60 फुट के आसपास था.
With this background in mind, Columbia University's cross-cutting initiative funded this research with an aim to understand economic and behavioral incentives behind groundwater conservation for paddy irrigation. Would information about weather affect farmers' water usage? Would knowledge about collective water usage work as an incentive to reduce water usage? Would technological intervention work for groundwater conservation? And do farmers' actual water usage align with their perceptions of water use? These are some of the questions that the research seeks to answer.
About looking at both the technological aspect of it, but also the behavioral aspect of it. How do people think about this? Are they thinking about it? Do they think about it individually? Do they think about it as a community? Do they think about it at all?
In the northern area of India, people use groundwater irrigation for some water-intensive crops. So, for example, in Punjab and Haryana, they grow a lot of rice. Now, what we've read in the literature, people estimate the amount of water that's being used each paddy season by interviewing farmers, and typically people just say they use 6 to 8 hours of available electricity in order to water their crops and sometimes supplement with a generator. However, what we wanted to find out was, one, could we actually quantify these amounts with hard numbers instead of self-reported data? And then, is there anything that we can implement that would help decrease water use and maybe sustain the aquifer a little bit longer than it?
To find answers to these research questions, our team partnered with Haryana Irrigation Research and Management Institute and Command Area Development Authority, government organizations that work closely with farmers in the state to meet their irrigation needs and also to educate them on water-efficient irrigation practices.
And I am looking after the work of training part of irrigation department, and the work which is for the purpose of the training of the farmers and our official of the irrigation department.
हम यहाँ कैट डिवीजन कुरुक्षेत्र के अंतर्गत में किसानों के सिंचाई के लिए खाड़े बनाने का कार्य करते हैं. इसके साथ साथ माइक्रो इरिगेशन का भी कार्य जो सरकार की तरफ से आगे किया जाना है, उसके ऊपर भी पायलट प्रोजेक्ट के तौर पे काम कर रहे हैं.
With the help of Haryana Irrigation Research and Management Institute and Command Area Development Authority, we mobilized farmers to conduct randomized control trials with 300 farmers across 30 villages in the districts of Kaithal and Kurukshetra. The study was primarily divided into 3 phases: baseline, midline, and endline. Interviews with farmers were conducted in each of these phases. The baseline and endline interviews captured farmers' paddy cultivation practices and associated water usage for 2014 and 2015 rice growing season, or the Kharif season as they call it in India. Various interventions were also introduced to the farmers during the baseline and midline phase of the research.
We conducted baseline surveys with 300 farmers to capture information regarding paddy cultivation and groundwater consumption for 2014 Kharif season. We went back and conducted endline surveys to capture similar information for 2015 Kharif season. Now, during 2015 Kharif season, we introduced a lot of interventions to the farmers like alternate wetting and drying, installation of sensors and hour meters on their field. Now, what we will do is compare this baseline information with the endline information to understand how any of these interventions has had an effect on the groundwater usage for paddy cultivation.
The first intervention was the introduction of alternate wetting and drying technique, a water-efficient irrigation practice, to 200 farmers. The farmers were given necessary training and specially designed pani pipes for successfully implementing these techniques on their fields. During the 2015 Kharif season, these farmers were also provided with regular information via short message service or SMS about when to flood and dry their fields.
The alternate wetting and drying method has a few components to it. The first one is that it uses less water than continuous flooding. So farmers will flood as usual until about 20 days after transplantation. And then they're going to alternately wet and dry the field. So they'll start to dry the field until the water is below ground level. Now, at what level the water is below ground level will depend on their type of soil. But usually that'll mean that the soil is still soft to touch, but it's not flooded. Once it's at that level, they flood it again, 5 to 7 centimeters. They repeat that until 1 week before flowering. Then they go back to flooding during flowering because it's a very critical stage for the plant and its roots.
Out of the 200 farmers who were introduced to alternate wetting and drying, 100 farmers were also provided with additional information about the collective use of groundwater at the village level. This information was also provided throughout the 2015 rice cultivation season via SMS. In addition, hour meters and water sensors were installed in the fields of the farmers to monitor their actual electricity consumption and water usage for the 2015 Kharif season.
Our goal with the hour meters to understand the cumulative amount of hours used for irrigation water.
For this project, we've developed sensors that track real-time irrigation water usage for farmers. Right now, they're just measuring atmospheric environmental information, so the temperature, relative humidity, and the water depth out in the fields.
Given the study design and different interventions, the research will be able to quantify how effective informational versus technological incentives are in reducing groundwater consumption. An understanding of how water can be used more efficiently and the incentives that might drive that will be useful not only for the state of Haryana, but for all of us who use water as if it were not a scarce resource.